And today's topic is going to be establishing a Seuda, Kviyat Seuda, or Pasa Baba Kissim. And we are discussing over the past couple of days, a person who eats a lot of Cheerios, a lot of cake. And what's the status, right? You have, let's say I bought, I think, 5 of them, because I discovered that when you buy 5, you don't pay tax. If you buy 4, 3, 2, or 1, you pay tax. On 5 or more, there's no tax. So I asked her for 4. She said, "Don't buy 4, buy 5," because the 5th one is being free. Because I'm like, Gavaldik, unbelievable. You think I would have picked that up by now, but I didn't. So I'm telling you, because let's say no one would have showed up today, except for me and Aaron. So we'd have had these 5 delicious pastries. So if we would have polished them all off, would we have to, wash and bench? So let's take a look. Says the Gemara, page 397, source 26. Rav Huna achal tales arifte. He had 13 of these breads, although you're going to see it's not really breads. Rashi's going to say it's actually pat Kissim food, because if it's 13 breads, there's nothing to really talk about. B'nei tlata bekeba v'lo berech. And 3 of a third of an egg. And he did not make a bracha. Amar le Rav Nachman. Adik kafna? Well, I don't understand. What's wrong with you? Why? Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, Adik kafna, what does it mean? Elu klomar, elu le're'avon nechlu, va'achila meruba kazo, lo nitvar mi bracha. He says, I don't understand. Why didn't you? You're full. You filled up on it. Most people, when you eat so much food, you're going to fill up on it. He said, no, you don't understand. But me, obviously, he wasn't filled, he wasn't satiated by this amount of food, and therefore he's not obligated to make a bracha. That's pretty serious, huh? So, what do we see from here? We see there's subjectivity to how much a person needs to eat in order to be. So, says the Rosh, take a look at 27, top of page 398. V'katav Rabbeinu Moshe Zal, the im acherim einam kovim afilu kshu kovei no mevarech. So let's say, what about if other people are not kovei Seuda on this amount of food, right? Even he, let's say, might, but others would not. You do not recite a bracha, meaning you do not recite hamotzi and birkas hamazon. Why? Debata ro vazlina, and we go according to the majority, right? So take a survey. What did the average person consume to establish for a meal? Ubatlo dato itzokol adam, and your individual is, well, your opinion about being satiated is mevato. Yeah, question?
Yeah. Don't you have to make a bracha before you eat food?
No. Everyone agrees you got to make a mizonos. The question is about washing. Maybe you have to make hamotzi on pastries. Yeah. Maybe even a motzi on pastries, for sure.
So the Rosh seems to be going as the Gemara, no? Because he says that if we go after Rov, there's no subjectivity.
Right.
I'm not arguing, but
wouldn't it seem like for this specific halacha it would make sense to go by each individual? Because you're talking about a personal bracha. Were you satiated by your meal?
You see, v'achalta v'savata u'beirachta. So v'savata, there's the idea of being satiated. You're saying there's a subjectivity when it comes to being satiated, because you'll be satiated. What about if you're not satiated? So it's subjective.
It's referring to the entire 12 of Israel, and it's saying like overall, like Hashem is referring to us as a nation.
Right, the context, that's what it's referring to, right? Okay. And you shall be satiated from the bounty that I provide you in the land of Israel.
Also still off the bench even if you're also there, right? Well, if you correct.
Right.
That's what I'm saying,
Right, correct. Kidei Svia, we're going to say, if you have, because it's a bread, you're going to have the bench, right? Although you're going to see you have a pizza. Okay, however, the Ravid comes along and says, no! Im haya kovei alav afilu mashu mevarech alav b'tchila hamotzi ubasof shalosh brachot. But what about if you sit down and you say, I'm being koveya, right? Then in such a case, you need to properly make the bracha and wash.
So the Ravid is in the Rosh?
The Ravid argues on the Rosh. Yeah. So what's a halacha? So if you had to guess what the halacha is going to be, who would you put your chips on? If you're going to see the klal of psak when it comes to the klal of psak, the Shulchan Aruch, what's the photographer? That was the surprise today. What's the anyone know what's the klal of psak? Don't look. What's the klal of psak? If you have a Ravid and you have a Rosh, the Shulchan Aruch often will go towards the Rosh. Take a look at 28. Pata Baba Kissim. Is that a guess?
100% again.
Comes on the Shulchan Aruch, Pato Kissim mevarach ala b'rei mizonot v'lacharav b'rash achat mein shalosh. Ve'im achal mimenu, here we go, shi'ur sha'achevim rigin l'kva alav, ha'fapi shehu lo tzava mimenu, then what? Mevarach alav hamotz v'gad hamazon. So we see here, what does the average Joe Schmo do? Pasuk Rosh. Shulchan Aruch says that. By the way, this is important because elderly, infirmed, children, there's a lot more in terms of subjectivity, right? You cannot compare an amount of food that a man sitting around this table can consume. You know,
So this is where the famous talk about 2 slices of pizza versus 1 comes.
So meaning,
You have the pizza
so again,
bread with stuff on it. So
right. So if we say that the pizza is pato b'kisnin, then you have to consume enough of it in order to wash. If, however, as we perhaps might have seen last week, there are those who say that it's not considered public kissim, but it's something called the pashtida, in which case you'd have to wash on it to begin with. That was not perhaps the machlokas in the modern contemporary society. Okay, fine. So let's continue. Okay, so this is very subjective. Okay, so if we're going to say that there's what is the shear of shacherim rigim l'kabah alav? Right? What is the shear? What is that shear? What's that amount? So here's a Mishnah Berurah, and then I had to look up something online in order to perceive a little bit more clarity. I will explain. When it comes to eruv tchumin, anyone know to make an eruv tchumin? What do you need to do?
Piece of, you need to put food inside of.
So we all live in the same block, let's say. But we need to make an eruv tchumin so we can carry
3 matzahs in the thing upstairs on the shelf.
Right. So how much you have to put aside 3 or 4 beitzim.
In a house?
No, so in my house. So you want to, we all live in the same, we all share a courtyard. You want to be able to carry in this courtyard. So you all bring to me a little bit of food, and then together it's come out. So the question is, how much is that? So the eruv tchumins are 3 or 4. Why? Why 3 or 4 beitzim? Because the Chachamim say who adin kan chashuv bezei kishur kibiyat Seuda. That's kibiyat Seuda. So the concept behind it is that we're no longer individuals. We're now all one big happy family. All of your food you're keeping in my house, and we're all one family. We're all eating together. Since we're all eating together, we can carry in the chatzar. We don't usher onto each other. That's briefly the rationale behind an eruv chatzeros. So. Aval kam achronim, like the Gra, who holds chokim v'sorfim who de'in levarach hamotzu berkat hamotzu el ashir Seuda kavua shushel erev uboker. Meaning what? Not just 3 or 4 beitzim, but a full meal of day and night. Breakfast and they didn't have. We eat 3 meals a day. Right. Only on Shabbos you eat 3 meals a day in the times of Chazal, right? They didn't have breakfast, lunch, and supper. They only had
lunch, dinner,
supper. Or they had
breakfast and lapper.
What did they have?
They had
what did they have?
Lekfast,
or I don't know what they had.
Breakfast
right.
And
Lapper, I don't know what they had. They didn't have 3 meals a day. When?
What about Aruchat Esther?
Breakfast and then
Right. Aruchat Esther didn't exist.
What about Aruchat Esther?
They weren't unionized. They didn't have like every 2 hours of the meal.
Forks together, right?
So the Mishnah Berurah quotes and actually says. Anyway, take a look at the end of the Mishnah Berurah in 29. Listen to this. Tov lachusha machmirim shelo lachol 4 beitzim. Because you're involved here in a suffix. What happens if you have 4 beitzim? It's machlokas achronim. Is that enough or not enough? If it's enough, then. If 4 beitzim are enough, then you need to wash. But if you hold like other achronim, so you need to have a meal of day and night, that's not enough. So you involve yourself in a suffix bracha, and we don't do that. So between 3 or 4 beitzim and a full entire meal is like danger zone.
How much is 3 or 4?
That's exactly what my question is. So as I was preparing, I'm like, how much is that? So here's the answer. So I did a quick Google search, and I found the following. I'm reading off the Star K website. According to the Star K website, what is a kibetza? You don't hold like a Star K?
I'm kidding.
I did a Google search. What popped up first, that's what we go by. Trust me, the differences are tiny. No. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Never mind.
Does OU hold by the Star K?
They have to.
How much marijuana is glass?
You saw that, huh?
What?
Actually, I noticed it first before anybody else. Okay.
That's on their website?
What?
I mean, it's
No.
on the news. They're certifying marijuana.
They're certifying marijuana. It's very important. It will bring. So,
Doesn't make any sense.
it's medically permissible marijuana.
When there's money to be made.
What kashrut do you have to say when there's money to be made? It doesn't have
And I'll tell you what's really important is that we said we don't have to fundraise anymore. If marijuana gets ashkacha the OU, who'd have to? You can how much money I can bring in? Anyways, let me read you Kibetza.
doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
That's the Canadian.
Says the Kibetza measurement. Listen to this: 2 kazesim. What is 2 kazesim? So 2 kazesim, 2 olives is 1 egg. What is that equal to? 2.53 fluid ounces.
I'm on board with that.
2.5 fluid ounces or 75 milliliters. So that's 1 betza. So if you have, let's say you have 3 or 4, let's say 4. So 4 times 75 milliliters, which is really liquid, and we're talking about volume. So it's about displacement, right? How much would you displace? It's basically a gram. That's yeah, but you displace by volume, right? That goes back to like grade 9 science. So, how much is that? How much is that? So here we go. Listen to this. It's preferable to eat more than a kibitz of bread on Shabbos. Okay, fine. That's a tremendous amount, right? Think about how much when you have, let's say, a bowl of cereal. 1 bowl of cereal. How much do you think that weighs? How many grams do you think that is? 1 bowl of cereal.
Way more.
No, I don't know how to.
It depends how much you eat. I don't know how much you eat. But
With milk or without milk?
yeah. But
Okay, so that would be interesting. Are other things meet staref to it? We'll see that in a minute.
I don't want to go into
No, forget cornflakes because you'll never make hamotzi on cornflakes. And they're so much lighter. Cornflakes, at least what's it called? At least Cheerios have a bit of weight to them.
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Honey Nut Cheerios, right? Honey Nut Cheerios. So how much would you have to have? So who's having cereal when they get home today?
What?
Who's going to have cereal? After we need to weigh a bowl of cereal.
It's usually 30 to 40
Just check how much. Just check how much the average. Just Google serving size.
Serving size of cereal?
It's 30 grams.
Well, those serving sizes.
Is that including the weight? Is that
Serving?
the weight of a bowl?
No.
Unless you're eating the bowl.
You don't have a scale.
Okay, you ready for serving size of cereal?
You get weight of your clothing.
It's 170 calories.
I'm joking. I weigh all of mine.
Okay, you ready? 30 grams. You're right. 30 grams.
I eat cereal.
Oh, science.
And you weigh it.
I don't weigh it.
Oh, no.
The calories is the next to the calories. How much the pour? How much the pour?
Yeah,
To check, make sure it's 30.
It's approximately 1 cup.
that's what they say.
That's not the point.
That's no, it's not a pro.
So how much did you have to eat? So let's do the math.
10 bowls of cereal.
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's not hard.
I eat maybe 2
Serving.
No, for altogether.
No. Yeah, is it with that?
Okay, so hold on to the milk thing for a minute. If milk is mitzaref.
10 servings.
It's way too complicated.
10 servings is objectively low.
How many? That's a lot. Is 30 grams actually bowl cereal? Or like 60 grams of
carbohydrates
cereal?
in cereal are not.
Like what's their serving? Their
You know,
serving
like when
is like
you
a
eat cereal.
Yes, a cup. So fine. So let's say 5 bowls of cereal. Fine. I agree with Shlomo. Most people. Almost most people, it's true. Most people, when you fill in those bigger bowls, it's probably 2 servings.
Okay.
So, but you're still going to need 5 bowls of cereal.
Yeah, so that's not gonna
That's a lot of cereal. Okay, so hold on to the milk. We're going to see that in a second. Okay, we got to pick up the pace a little bit. Let's go. So that's says that Rav Moshe Feinstein in source 30.
So the bowl is.
He asked the same question. What is the shear, a kabiyat Seuda, levara chamotzi, b'gas hamazon, al pato kissin? How much of these cakes do you need to consume? So let's jump to the end. And he says, last 3 lines, L'chatchila yesh la'achmir, of the shear of 4 beitzim, like Mishabur says. The tamad lo machmir k'shir 3 beitzim, hu mekivan dioter noted, dedat agra. He says, how come I don't want to say 3? Because for Erev Tchumins are the 3 or 4. Because at least 4, you're more likely to hit the shear of the gra, which remember is the meal of Boker and Erev. Lachein. Okay, that's what he says. Af shemina roy lachmir lachatchila gam k'shazorvim hu k'shir Seuda de'eruv sagil lachmir k'shazorvim 4 beitzim. Okay, fine. So that's essentially what he's going to say. Okay, although he does say others will hold more of the meal of day and night. Now, do other things count? This will be very important because if you're having what did we just talk about? Remember the phyllo dough? With meat.
Oh.
What's it called?
Sephardi thing?
We just said, like, if you have like a knish, right? Or a bareka, if you add up...
Is it doused in gravy, though? Because that's important.
Otherwise
it's not worth eating.
So I'll tell you why. A potato bureka will have a lot more substance to it because the potatoes, if everything is mitzaref, so that dough itself is very light, but the content of what could be inside could actually provide something of substance in terms of trying to hit the right measurement. Right? The gravy I don't think is going to have much of an impact.
But that's also saying that burekas are not hashira.
Right, because of the dough, because it's such a brittle dough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those.
Now, that is the Magen Avram is going to say it's all mitzaref. Nearly. Dimu kava sudato alav. Now, kaveh suda alav means, guys, I'm having dinner, I'm having lunch, I'm not having bread, I'm having a lot of macaroni, or I'm having a lot of meat dish with some type of pasta in it, right? That's substantive. Bureka. Af al pi she'achal imo basar uvrim acherim ve'ilu achlu levado lo yasavia mimenu. If I would, let's say, I would just eat it by itself, it wouldn't be filled, but I'm eating other things with it. Afilu achi mevarech hamotzi for 3 brachos at the end for benching. Wow. Says the Magen Avram, the meat, the mushrooms, the potato are mitzaref. V'chid mashma lashon b'gemara, k'tzat lashon b'gemara, quote, kol shachirim kovim alav. V'chid mashma k'tzat b'tosvos. Shekatzu gabe lachmaniyos, quote, im kava alehem kamo b'purim? Okay. V'sam b'purim im kovim levadam. Right? I guess they're talking about some kreplach, some like these Purim dishes. They would have like these, I guess, some type of delicacy.
You mean wine?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's dipped in wine. Yeah. No, not bread. You're having mizonos. You're having pasta, and with this pasta, you're having meat,
and wine,
and you're having other.
with some more.
It's mitzaref. So maybe if you ate so much of it, you'd have to make a motzi. Now. Here's the Magen Avram. 3 points. 1. Im achal es hamizonos. If you're eating these mizonot, yachad dvarim acherim, with other things, bekamut regila, normal amount, shekov malem asuda, the average person will establish for meal, you need to make a motzi. 2. Im achal the mizonot levadam, yivarach motzi. If you just have these mizonot on their own, you make a motzi. Rakim achal kamut shekam anashim acherim. Only if you eat enough that other people also would consider to have a meal. Im achot amazono bilvad bekamut shesvioto, that you're satiated. If anashim acherim svim bekamut zo yachadim dvarim acherim, kam ken yirach hamotzi kivan shehu atzmo saveya. So the Magen Avram is saying there are many situations where you need to actually wash for. So take a look at Mishnah Berurah. We're not done, although we're almost done. Says the Mishnah Berurah, says Achronim, im ach lebaba knissim levado. If you just eat these mizono things by themselves, tzarash yochel shir, you have to have the amount shacharim regilim lesaveh mimenu levado, enough that other people say on it. If you machlu imo basar or zvim acherim shemelaftim etapat, other things that are added to the bread, or in our case to our doughs, sagi, it's sufficient. Kisha shir shachim regilim lesaveh mimenu. If other people would be satiated from it, then you need to also wash for it.
There's the 3 or 4 shir.
The 3. Let's say with the 4. Okay. Yes. By the way, having 3 also into a suffix, right? Mishaochlin gam ken im dvarim acherim. Ach im achlu levado samimenu. Okay, yesh achim shelo yusuf imenu levado. Aval im kiven she im achlu oto im dvarim acherim. Hayusuf imenu gam ken lo minam batlu dato v'tzarich levarech alav hamotzi or birkat hamazon. So we see from here we could really get involved. It's not that difficult, especially if you're mitzaref other things, in order to become satiated. However, says the Mishnah, says the Bir Halacha, dun b'kol makom near the barar, timu zakein u'na'ar shechilatan muat b'teva, the elderly or the young person who doesn't eat that much, chayavim b'hamotzi b'gas hamazon im achlo shir dedarkan tamid l'kboa alzeh. Why? Kevan the kol b'nei minam miskaptim b'shir zeh. So it is not how much the average human consumes, but in your social environment. So if you're an adult, what is the average adult? What's the average? How much is a kid? So obviously the amount that a kid eats will be much, much less.
Harry, were you any precedent for this sort of rule?
Not how much you eat in front of friends.
Oh, the pure halacha?
Social eater.
Bottom line is that
She's the only eat one pure person.
Yeah.
mazonos, and then let's say I don't know, a lot of pasta, and you eat a lot of meat with it. You have to make a motzi and a mazon.
No, just make a motzi to cover everything. But you're going to need to consume, right? You're still going to consume a lot.
Yeah, let's say this. You just make a motzi, then.
Right. So that is why if you're sitting down and having a lot of pasta or a lot of let's say pasta with meat, it might be rechinami. It might be better to wash over bread.
Don't
because
also boil it. The pasta. Isn't the big? Don't also boil it.
When the pasta boiled.
Yeah.
But and therefore.
So the whole question of boiling.
It's considered. Does it no longer make it pat b'kisnin if it's boiled?
Yeah.
Might take it out of the pat b'kisnin, and therefore maybe it wouldn't have the. But Cheerios, cake.
What's the thing? This is in the JLIC says the end. Kivan de kol b'nei mina mistapkin mishur achilazo.
Yeah, stop. There's sufficient. There's sufficient dinner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Unless you're really.
Okay. What was that? Let's finish off here. The 34, 35, 36, and then we're actually going to reach the end of this entire section. Now, what about if you sat down to nash, and then all of a sudden you expanded your eating? Uberach b'mizonos, v'chagach achal shir k'shachim g'milav yivrach alav berkat hamazon av al pi shelo berach hamos titchila. So listen to this. You think you're coming down, you're having half a Danish. You end up eating 17 Danishes, right? Right? All of a sudden, you need to bench. To conclude, the Piskei Tshuva says, listen, this is b'diavad. Lechatchila tzarich ha'adam b'tchila techilato lachlit im rotzeh lechol k'dei sviyat Seuda v'sviya o pachot. When you sit down, are you in nush mode? Are you in meal mode? If you are in meal mode, you need to recognize that you actually might be consuming a lot of food. So, Rabbi Spiegel, Dr. Spiegel made an important point about noodles, that it could be, there are those who say that maybe it's not by the kisnin. But remember, crackers, cakes, other doughs, you have to eat a lot in order to be pat kisnin, to transform into hamotzi, into a meal. But when you start with other foods, it's not so crazy that you're going to either hit the amount or suffix hit the amount. In which case, you should perhaps, wash and then have proper bread in order to avoid that type of suffix. So, all right, with that we conclude that topic.